Welcome, Dar, to this interview. I really appreciate that you agreed to come on as a 5-1 ego manifester. I've been really looking forward to interviewing you and maybe picking your brain and getting into your design or having you impact me with your design and your insights so that we can bring this out to serve and help others who are trying to make sense of their own designs. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm curious about when you came into human design. What was your journey into your experiment?
Okay, so it was early 2019. Could have been January, February, early March, the latest. Um, a numerologist had mentioned it and talked about it, and I had never heard of it at all before then. And, the one in my profile, wanted to dive right in. What is this all about? So I looked it up. I found out I'm a manifestor, and I thought, oh, cool name. And then I started to find out what a manifestor was, and I was like, wow, that explains a lot. And wow, so I can't change these things? It's so weird. I mean, by the time you're my age, you would think that, you wouldn't just keep thinking that tomorrow's going to be better or something's going to change. You know what I mean? Like I always, I'm always like thinking that tomorrow's going to be better, tomorrow's going to be different. And it's not that it's bad or anything like that, but like as far as certain things maybe about me, and then it's like kind of like, wow, I can't change these things. This is who I am. If this stuff is true, if this stuff is real, it explains a lot, but it's kind of a bummer in a way, like manifestors. Oh, it sounds cool, but it's not as, easy as some people think it is.
Mm, mm. Yeah, so I know that a lot of projectors, me being in the projector world, I hear a lot of projectors who wish they were manifestors. And of course, I'm sure the other energy types wish they were manifestor energy types. And it's interesting that you're saying that it's not as cool as you would think it is. And I'm wondering what your major, like if you could give us like your major initial struggle with getting into and accepting that you are this energy type. What was that?
Well, I mean, as far as accepting it, I guess it's kind of like I have no choice but to accept it. And I'm not going to say it's not still a challenge, but it's kind of like that the closed and repelling aura. I mean, that explains a lot. That explains um, so much rejection in my life. And I'm talking about low key rejection. I'm not talking about, oh, this major rejection. It was kind of like just little rejections here and there or not being accepted. And I remember one time someone telling me, well, you were always so standoffish. And you know what? Partly it was my aura, but partly I was standoffish because by the time I was in my, like say, I don't even know when it happened, but I just remember when this person said it, I was probably about like my late teens. And that person said, I'm standoffish. But at that point, I was even a bit standoffish because of just, I was so used to not fitting in and being accepted. And, there were certain people who loved me and accepted me. And like, I kind of was along with them, but I didn't feel the warm embrace that some of like my friends, I think maybe just took for granted. I don't even know if they thought of it that way, but like, I always felt kind of like on the outside. And so I kept quiet a lot of times, in groups of people where I didn't know anyone. So when I found out that that was part of my aura and there was nothing I could really change about that, that was tough. That wasn't easy to hear because, again, in my mind, even at my age, oh, this can change. This, it's not always, doesn't always have to be like this. But on the other hand, what makes it great to accept is that it's not me personally. It's not something I've done. It's not the way I'm acting, or it's just like the aura that meets them before I even say a word, before I do a thing. So in that way, it's a bit of a relief, but yeah, just knowing I couldn't change it, that was tough. And what has made me accept it along the way is that it's been like a little more than 3.5 years now. And I think just learning how to be me, relaxing into me, and just it's less effort, actually, and just being more being.
That leads me to my next question about how your human design experiment of practicing your strategy and authority has helped you to just be.
Well, what I was going to say about just being is that it's not as easy as it might sound. It wasn't like, oh, I'm a manifestor and now I know that and I'm just going to be a manifestor. No, it's really not that easy. It's really, it starts out, at least for me, as like a completely mental thing. And it takes a while to embody it. And I'm definitely someone who needs repetition.
What have you found most challenging about your human design experiment, and what has been most rewarding about being in this experiment for 3.5 years?
Okay, so the most challenging is the ego authority, because it's not really like a feeling in the body or anything. And I completely admit that I don't have a total handle on it at this point, but I do hear it in my voice sometimes. I can hear when I'm talking about something and I'm excited about it and it's something I want to do. And, but it's not easily accessible to me, every moment of the day kind of thing, right? It's not like I wake up and I just start spouting things and I know how my day is going to go or something like that. It's not like, I have my husband and my 2 kids are all generators. And it's not like that. You look at this, yeah, that's for me. Oh, that's not, it's not like that.
Yeah.
They can respond all day, every day to whatever they hear, see, someone says, someone asks. But this is not like that. And it's been challenging to recognize it. It's been challenging to know what to do with myself, with my time. I know that sometimes it's in my voice, and other times I do notice that my body might just start moving to do something. And I'm not talking about any big initiations. It's, that's another thing, the initiating thing. We can talk about that if you want, but, I'm not referring to any like big manifestor initiations. It's more like, wow, how does this authority serve me every day? And I'm still experimenting with that, and I'm sure I will be forever. I'm hoping it gets clearer and clearer as I go. But I, sometimes just kind of like lie on the couch all day, and the mind can creep in and say, get up and do something. You should be doing something. You should be doing something. And sometimes I listen to the mind, but at least I'm aware of it now. And then it was just actually, I think it was only 2 or 3 days ago where I kind of realized at the end of the day that I did almost nothing. I spent like almost the whole day on the couch, and I think it's what my body needed to do. That whole, the only motor I have is the ego, the will, the heart, whatever you want to call it. And, it needs a lot of rest. And I did not rest it my entire life. I've always said, long before I ever encountered human design, I don't know how I get through the day, when my kids were young or when I was working full time and doing all that stuff. How do I get through the day? It's just by will. I say by sheer force of will. And how I did not know how true those words actually were.
Seriously, with the defined will
Yeah.
center and willpower, sheer force of will.
Sheer force of will. I used to say it all the time. I would say it to anyone who would listen to me, my husband, my mother, I don't know how I'm doing this. I'm exhausted. I'm wiped out. It's just by sheer force of will that I, you know, take care of my kids and get them off to school and do the stuff around the house. And, before that, it was, the whole working thing. And I remember working on my master's, all that stuff. It was just like, I just burned myself out to the point where my body needs a lot of rest now. And another thing I think I learned about my ego authority, and again, this is just personal. I can't even say that every ego manifestor or even ego projector would experience it this way, but for me, it feels more it's not a physical thing for me. I don't think I'm supposed to be doing a lot of physical things, and I don't think I'm supposed to be initiating a lot of physical things. It's kind of more like whatever comes out of my mouth, my ideas, my insights. I feel like that's, how I initiate. Because I feel like, and I alluded to this a moment ago about getting to the initiating part. That's another part I have grappled with, where I felt kind of like pressured. Well, I'm a manifestor. I'm supposed to initiate stuff. I'm not initiating anything. I'm not living like a manifestor. So it was, again, that was a mental thing. It was my mind telling me, well, you're supposed to initiate stuff. So just do something. And that's not how it works. I don't have a choice. That's why people think they want to be a manifestor so they can initiate things. I don't really have a choice about what I initiate. It's gotta like be something that I either move toward naturally, or I hear it in my voice that it's right for me, or it's something that I just really want to do, and I feel like it has value for me and others. It's tribal, so does this have value for me and the tribe? And the tribe could be my family, but it could be people watching your YouTube channel, that kind of thing. I don't really think I have a choice. So the more I can just be, and then it allows the natural me to come through.
You make a really good point about not having the choice. Like you just be it, right?
Yeah, I just am it. I don't recognize it. Yeah, I feel sometimes, rejected, left out, different, whatever. But I don't I'm not trying to be a manifestor. I'm not.
Yeah, because you are a manifestor. Like, you're no less a manifestor, uh, whether you're living in alignment with your design or not. You just are. It's kind of like I pulled out a clip from an interview with a projector, and she had emailed me and said something brilliant about you're no less of a projector, whether you're living in alignment or not. You're just more burned out if you're not living from your design. Same thing, right?
Same. My energy, I really feel like it is not physical. I have very little physical stamina. I feel like I can interact like this for hours, all day long. You can, pull from my, I want to get into the 6447 or whatever, I can come up with ideas. I can do that stuff all day long, but not the physical stuff. So far.
Yeah. And, a couple of things you've said have really lit up some points that I want to highlight. First of all, you're about halfway through that first 7-year cycle of deconditioning. And I think that what you're experiencing in terms of that, what you said was your struggle around getting in touch with your ego authority is, it really highlights the process. Like you don't just get your chart and start, oh, oh, I need to inform. That's my that's my strategy. And you start doing that, and all of a sudden you magically tap into your authority. It's a process, and your life doesn't necessarily get any easier or miraculously get perfect, you know. It,
Absolutely.
and I think that's really important to highlight for others who are really grappling with, well, how do I get in touch with this ego authority? And then what I observed you doing is sort of rambling through, and I'll digress into that channel of abstraction. I totally relate. I have it too, the 6447. I watched you ramble into the through the confusion to the epiphany, and confusion to epiphany of I just be. I just be. Like I don't have the control over when this authority speaks to me or how it speaks to me. I just have this control over being.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And that's not necessarily easy. If we, I don't want everyone to think that, oh yeah, it's just so easy. She just bees. No, it's really not that easy. I mean, the mind is always in there, trying to tell me to do things, and you should be doing that. You should be doing this, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Um,
And that was the other thing that sort of lit up and popped off for me is how the outside conditioning field of the what we've internalized in our monkey mind or whatever it is can mimic what is what in the textbook, how the textbook explains like the strategy and authority for manifestors. Like just get out there and do it, just do it, just and that's not really how it works,
it is not,
or
because
that's what you're discovering.
I mean, yeah, I can only speak for myself, but yes, what I'm discovering is, a lot of people talk about, like, the Nike just do it thing. That's for manifestors. Well, but you just do it is, it just, it has to come from within naturally, not from the mind. And like, I think you started to say something that at least made me think that you were saying that, like, maybe like my inner authority, my ego authority, it might be hard to distinguish between mind and my authority, right? My mind is inside me saying, you should do this. But is that really my ego authority? If my mind is saying, just do it, that's not my authority. So if I just do that, that's not entering into something correctly. So yeah, it's not what people think it is. It's not just do it. Maybe other manifestors find it that way, but I'm finding that no, not really.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe, I don't know. And listen, I'm only like 3.5 years in. Who knows how this is going to progress over time? But I don't really think I have a big choice in how I, how I don't even know what the word is. I was going to say how I use my authority, but I don't use it. It uses me.
It moves through you. Well,
Yeah,
it moves through all our authorities, move through all of us, really.
yeah, yeah. And it's not an easy one to recognize. It's
Yeah.
not. I mean, for me, it isn't anyway. For me, it's not an easy one to recognize.
Yeah. Well, uh, I was, as you were talking about that, I was thinking about how I've heard, well, a couple of things I've heard Ra Uru who say, or in his writings I've read, like that concept of no choice. I think you've really pinned some practical examples, or the practical experience of having no choice in when and how your authority speaks to you. And the other thing I heard him say was, especially about the defined will center, and he had a defined will center. His experience of when he didn't have the heart to do things, when he didn't have the heart for something, he didn't have the energy for that.
Mm-hmm.
you know
Yeah.
and that keeps lighting up as you keep talking about not having the energy, being this non sacral being who doesn't have that energy to just get up and do. It has to move through you, and then you have to have the heart for it. That's how I
Yes.
interpret it. That's how
And
I interpret.
that actually brings me back to the beginning of this, because when I first discovered it, a lot of people were saying, well, manifestors have this powerful energy, this powerful energy, this energy, this energy, this energy. And I remember thinking, I have no energy. What are you talking about? So yeah, it's got to be something that is right for me to have the energy. And also it's an in and out kind of thing. It's not, no more of these marathon get-togethers and all that kind of stuff. And honestly, the social distancing that we had recently had actually helped me really recognize that in myself and value time away from people and being out there and all that, and realizing that I don't have the energy for that. I don't have long, like, I never used to know when the party was over, first one there, last one to leave, that kind of thing. That was misusing my energy. I was riding on all the sacral energy in the room, because there's always sacral energy in the room. So yeah, it's really, that wasn't I didn't have the will to do that. My mind did. My mind thought I did. My sacral thought I did. But yeah, it's you yeah, with the I have to have the will to do something is what gives me the energy for it, and I guess it's something that has value for me or the tribe or what have you. And again,
Because I'll just highlight here, because you have your defining channel for your authority is the 2145.
right, and Roz is the 5125, I believe. So we don't even have the same manifesto. We don't have the same ego channel there. His is the individual one. Mine is tribal.
Mm-hmm.
So we would differ in that way, but definitely the same in I don't have, if I don't have the will for it, I don't have the energy for it, like the physical energy.
Really good point. Really good thing to put a clip in, a pin in, for anyone who is struggling with their ego authority. Say that again. If you don't have the
If I
will
don't have the
for it.
will for it, I don't have the energy for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I would venture to say, again, not my experience, but I would venture to say that, let's say, a projector with a defined ego also needs to be careful about resting that ego, right? You might be able to force yourself to do things, but that's how you burn yourself out. I mean, I forced myself to do things for 50 something years.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, I still force myself to do things now because, we're all conditioned and all that kind of stuff. But I think having awareness of it helps. And it also helps me to not go too far,
Yeah.
not to go overboard.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. So you've really just in our conversation, it's like I can feel like insight has solidified around this a little bit. So that's really valuable.